everyone. Welcome. And I'm so excited to have you here today. I have an absolutely amazing guest with me, Mr. Mark Schafer. So he is an author, he's a keynote speaker, he's a consultant, and he is one of the experts in today's generation on social media, selling with social media, and also creating a really strong brand in the eyes of today's consumers. So I'm very, very excited to have you, Mark. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Allie. It's so nice to see you and talk to you today.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So we have several things that we want to dive into. But first, I'd love for you to just tell the audience a little bit about who you are and how you got here.
I started out really in the corporate world. I started out in communications, but always wanted to get into marketing, and eventually got into marketing with a big Fortune 100 company, and uh, got to do every kind of marketing job there was, sort of on a global basis, and had a great career and a great educational background. I started my own business about 12 years ago and started working with small businesses. And that's really where my heart is a lot, even though I work with a lot of big brands today. You know, I still try to support local businesses. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, not too far from you. And when I find local businesses that I love and really believe in, I'll just say, let's have lunch. I can help you because I believe in our community and I believe in local businesses. And so I really appreciate all the good work that you do in your community.
Thank you. And I think that that's a really important point. You know, our local businesses, they're a major part of our communities. They're
Oh,
never going to
sure.
go away. You know, we can't
Mm,
survive in a simply e-commerce world. There's always going to be local businesses around. And I think the question right now is, how can you as a local business owner really stand out and also stand the test of time, become a
mm.
brand that is consistent in your community for decades? So super excited to talk a little bit about what local businesses can do today. We're obviously in a very unique time, especially for those local businesses. Some of them are really struggling. Some of them are doing okay, but I think all of them are looking for direction in terms
Mhm.
of what they could be doing better right now to make the most of whatever situation they're in. So first, I think that it's important to talk a little bit about what consumers are actually looking for. That's something that you talk about pretty heavily. The fact that consumers are now the marketers. They're the ones that are deciding, you know, which brands they want to promote and why. So one thing that really stood out to me in your book, Marketing Rebellion, was the story that you told about an artisanal soap. So the fact that Ivory soap and these big soap brands had been around for a very, very long time, spent massive marketing budgets getting their name out there, yet you went to someone's home and you noticed that, you know, even as a younger couple, they still had this really high-end type of artisanal soap in their home. And you ask them why they chose that over something else. And I'd love to just hear your thoughts on what those reasons were and what local businesses can take from that.
Well, there's a huge lesson there, and you know, I asked the couple, you know, why they bought this soap instead of these big brands that had been advertising to them for their whole lives. And the woman told me, well, I'm not sure I love this brand, but I love the hands that made it. And that's a huge trend in today's world. And there's a lot of lessons embedded in that. In fact, I sort of launch the whole book really from that story. Um, you know, people they love small businesses. They love their local businesses, and they love. And first of all, I want to say that, you know, we are recording this in a very strange and unusual time, and certainly, you know, my heart goes out to all the small businesses out there that are working so hard and are so worried. And we're all experiencing a loss right now. And one of the things I talk about with our consumers is we have to approach this in the terms that they're grieving right now. Everybody has lost something, right? They've lost something, and it might be the freedom to go visit you in your restaurant, or visit you in your business, or just go on a vacation and, you know, stay at a hotel. Or they've lost the freedom to work the way they usually do because they've got kids at home crawling all over them. And so everybody, yeah, you smile on that one, huh?
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody is grieving. And so, I mean, this is really an opportunity to show who's behind these brands. You know, today small businesses are are set to succeed in this new consumer driven economy better than any other kind of business, because increasingly the personal brand is the brand, right? So to the extent that you show your face and show your heart and show your passion, and in this particular time, show your compassion for your customers, acknowledge that they're grieving, right? That's how people, that's why people love the hands that made it, right? Procter and Gamble can't do that. Verizon can't do that. They might put an ad on TV and say, "We're with you." But small businesses and local businesses, you can show people that you're with them, and that you're sticking with them, and that you're committed to the community. Now's the time to show what you're made of. Show the hands that make it. And that's really the big opportunity to build your brand right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that, on that note, I don't think it would be a bad thing for businesses to talk about the ways that they're struggling right now. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that, that's something that businesses tend to shy away from as a whole. You don't want to talk about necessarily your problems, but I think that talking about the ways you've been impacted and what you're doing to try and overcome them would
Mhm.
be a great way to share a part of your story that a lot of, your consumers may not have the opportunity to hear, but really come up with solutions. Don't make it a sob story necessarily, but
Mhm.
that would be a great way to get yourself out there, maybe for the first time. If you're a
Mhm.
business that hasn't really put yourself out, you could thank people for the support they've given you, and also tell them, what you're trying to do to move forward. So the fact
Well,
is that,
yeah, I mean, that's a very keen observation. I just wanted to talk about one quote from the book. It's probably my favorite quote in the book that I think is very relevant here. And again, it just supports the power of small businesses. Is one of my marketing heroes is a guy named Philip Kotler, and he wrote sort of the seminal book on marketing that's used in a lot of classes today. And he's the reason really I got into marketing in the first place. And he was on a podcast last year, and he was interviewed. He's like 87 years old now. And he said, what's missing in business today is this real human voice, someone that's really accessible, friendly, even vulnerable. And every time I say that word, I just hang on that word, because to be human really means to be vulnerable. And how many businesses can really achieve that? Again, big businesses are not going to be vulnerable, but small
mhm.
businesses, they're in a good position to show their heart and show their family, just trying to make ends meet right now. And I think great branding is creating an emotional connection between what you do and your audience, and the opportunity. And like you said, you don't have to tell a sob story, but you can just be sort of honest and transparent and tell the story of what's going on with you. And that goes a long way toward building that emotional connection.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And honestly, it's not always easy to be vulnerable as a business.
Right.
You
It's
know,
not. You really have to push yourself.
we've been kind of taught to like put on this brave face and to
Hmm.
always be professional and all of those things. But
Hmm.
you're right, people want to buy from people, they want to feel connected. And I think it makes people feel a lot less alone when they realize that other people, maybe even people they looked up to, have those same challenges as the ones that they're going through. So that could be amazing content for businesses right now to put out. And I think that really right now is such an awesome time to focus on content, to focus on building connections with your audience, whether you can sell in this current climate or not. Because some people, they're going to feel like they may not have any way to go regarding marketing. But I think
Yeah.
that that would be a great next step for them to take, is to really establish what they want to say to the people who have been supporting them.
Well, here's a simple way to think about selling right now. So, I mean, a lot of people are familiar with that old uh, model, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? We probably had that in school at some time, right? and it's this triangle.
Mhm.
And the bottom of the triangle is like, I need safety, I need food, I need air, I need water, I need, shelter. And then the next level is, I don't want to be lonely, and I want relationships. And then all the way at the top, you've got things like a new car. You've got aspirational things,
Mhm.
right? That this is what I want to get someday. So here's an easy way to sort of think about, should you be selling or should you be helping? If you're selling at the bottom of that hierarchy, the answer is yes. That's what people need right now.
Mhm.
People are scared. They're losing their jobs, they're losing their life, they're losing their minds, right? They don't feel safe. They're stressed. And so if you're selling food, if you're doing food delivery, that's at the bottom, right? That's helping people right where they are right now. Okay. If you're at the top, sort of doing more aspirational things, then I think you need to sort of change your tone to say, here's how we're helping you right now.
Mhm.
Okay. Here's what we can do for you right now. All right. Maybe it's not time. Maybe we're closed. Maybe you can't go to see a play right now. Maybe you can't go see, maybe our movie theater is closed or whatever it is that they just can't do. But, here's something that we can do to just help. You got to go to the bottom right now. You got to go to the bottom of that pyramid and say, this is where people are right now. This is where their hearts and minds are dwelling. And so if you're out there selling something that's aspirational, like a vacation, that's going to come across as tone deaf because they're just not there. And people
Yeah.
are going to look at it and they're going to say, huh, really? That's what you're telling me right now? But if you're in there and you're really helping people, let me give you just a quick example. This is one of my favorite stories that is like inspiring to me right now. A few days ago, I got an email from a local rancher. This is a guy. He's got cattle on a ranch, right? And his email says, well, I know we're in this crisis right now and you can't really enjoy a lot of the restaurants that you normally go. We will bring our steaks to you. Now, this is a B2B business, right?
Mhm.
And people can't do necessarily fine dining right now. But here's a guy, he's this rancher, and he said, people, look, I went to Kroger the other day. There are no steaks. And I don't want to go to the grocery store anyway.
Yeah.
And here's a guy, he said, we will bring the steaks to you, which is awesome. All right. So he's reimagining his business to serve the bottom of the pyramid. All right. He's reimagining his business in a very helpful way, in a
Mhm.
way we're always going to remember. We're going to be grateful for what he's doing.
Absolutely. And I think that what you said there is so key, is that businesses do have to reimagine their business right now
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways. Some of them, like you said, if you're selling a vacation, there may not be much you can truthfully do for
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
besides go out there and try and be helpful and really put out content that could be useful. But one of my students, they are like a specialty running store, and they are speaking to the bottom of the pyramid right now. If your
Mm-hmm.
gym is closed, you
Yeah.
still need to take care of your body. You need to take care of your mind. Running is an
Mm-hmm.
amazing way to get out in nature, boost your mood, keep your
Yeah.
physical health up, and they will do running shoe delivery. So it is
Awesome.
something
Awesome.
that they've totally not done in the past, but now
Yeah.
their messaging is reflecting why it's relevant right now. And also they're giving people a way to utilize their products without having to come in the store. And, I see a lot of content online every day, people talking about, maybe should they keep working or should they not if they have a choice. And I think that if you're able to, there might be a way, but you may have to make some significant changes in the way that you've done things in the past to either make people feel more comfortable or maybe do something that's a better fit within your range of expertise and skills that's really going to help them a lot. Another example would be a roofing company. They are definitely not getting a ton of, full roof replacements that aren't 100% necessary. So maybe in the past, they would have only focused on those larger jobs, but now it might be immediate repairs. Those people can still get out on someone's house. They don't even have to be in contact with somebody. They can do virtual consultations, but a repair is a timely need. It's something that someone doesn't always have a choice about whether they want to fix, whereas people may not be investing a lot of money in something that's not 100% necessary right now. So just really establishing how you may be able to shift to still help those same people, but maybe in a different way than you've done before. So
Yes,
I love the
absolutely.
story about that ranger. I mean, that's B2B to B2C. That's a
Right.
completely different shift, and
Yeah.
it's what's necessary, but he's also helping the people in his community, which is exactly what I'm sure he's always done, but now he can do it in a more direct way, which is amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, this is, we live in a county next to Knoxville, which is a pretty big city. And it's generally sort of a rural, our county is generally sort of rural, but there's this great community spirit here that everybody wants to pitch in and everybody wants to help each other. So, if you can put out there some way that we can help each other, I think people will respond to that.
Absolutely. And that kind of goes back to another thing I wanted to talk about: businesses really showing what they care about and what their
Mm,
values are,
yeah.
outside of just their specific products and services. So you also talk about that in the book, how businesses can align themselves with certain causes
Yeah.
that really deepen their connection with their audience. And obviously, as a local business, I mean, there's probably nothing closer to your audience's heart than local issues. So I think that you can really have a win-win right now. You can go out of your way to help people that are struggling during this
Mhm.
time, because there's going to be so many opportunities to do that.
Yeah.
And you can
Well,
also show people where your heart lies at the same time.
I think one of the biggest lessons I ever learned in my career was before I got into marketing, I was in sales leadership for a long time. And we had this customer who bought 100% from our company, millions and millions and millions of dollars of material, never bought from anybody else. And we ran into this big quality problem. It was a crisis. We were shutting them down. They couldn't meet their customer requirements, but they kept buying from us. So I had lunch with the president of the company. And I said, I just have to be honest with you. I don't understand. We're doing such a terrible job for you and we're going to get better, but why aren't you protecting yourself? Why aren't you buying from our competitor? And he said, well, let me tell you why. He said, my father was the founder of this company. And we started the company back in the 30s and we fell into this crisis during World War II, right? We're in a war right now with this virus. Make no mistake about it. It's a war and everybody's involved in it, right? So World War II, I think there were very similar parallels in a lot of ways. He said, we were making this product that nobody wanted and we had to pivot and we had to retool and we needed new technology and we needed capital because we were running out of money. We had to buy new equipment. And your company, which was Alcoa, the company I worked for at the time, he said, your company gave us the financing for the equipment that we needed. They helped us with the technology to help us pivot. They did everything, your company did everything to help us through that crisis. We wouldn't be here without you. And on my father's deathbed, he said, never leave Alcoa. They brought us to the dance. Now, in that crisis, my company was able to help this customer so that our loyalty, the loyalty transcended generations, transcended even death of the founder. It was
Yeah.
a forever kind of thing because we were there where the people needed us at that moment. Okay, we could look during the war. we were selling so much aluminum at that point. We were an aluminum company primarily. During World War II, we couldn't make it fast enough because we had to make it for ammunition and planes and everything. You know, everything that moves in the war was made out of aluminum. But yet we reached down and helped this customer in a way that, you know, made them, you know, loyal forever. And, and you know, that's sort of a major story about, I love the hands that made it, right? And that's an opportunity that we all have right now, is that, look, selling might be really tough and we're all struggling, but in many cases it is an opportunity to build that loyalty and build that brand that's really unparalleled, that might last forever.
That is really an amazing story. And I think that that loyalty is what every business should try and focus on right now. I'm sure that there are a lot of different ways that businesses can go about developing customer loyalty in a typical market, but that's probably the best way that you're going to see people stay by your side, is by really supporting them as well. And I think that it's kind of something that all of us as business owners need to do right now, which is, you know, continue to support the businesses we've been supporting if at all possible, because then those people that have been supporting us will continue to support us. And I feel like
Mhm.
it's kind of just a circle that will continue to keep us all alive and in business right now. But I do totally believe that those businesses that do a great job of establishing the connection outside of just their products and services with their audience in a way, you know, just like the story you told, they're not only going to be the ones that thrive during this time. I definitely think that it's going to be what helps them either get back on their feet when this passes, if they haven't been able to sell, because those that you make an impact on will go out of their way to support you.
Mhm.
Right before we started recording this, we were talking a little bit about just those people that are purchasing gift cards from local restaurants or from any type of local business that they want to support. And if you're going out there and you're advertising a gift card promotion, I think that's awesome. But a lot of these are happening completely organically. Businesses are just seeing that their audience is very dedicated in supporting them and making sure that they're here when this is all over. So I think that this would be a great time to look at your own business and see what's happening. Are your customers going out of their way to be here for you? Maybe you're struggling more than they are, depending on the business that you're in. And you really want to have that type of relationship. So if you're not seeing it, this might be a great time to start the process of really making sure they understand, you know, what you care about, how you were there for them, and using this time in a productive way by really deepening your connection with your own community. And if that's all that comes out of it, I think that that would be an amazing win, to be honest. So just trying to look at the silver linings of what you might be able to accomplish, even during a really challenging time for your own business potentially. And that could be something that allows you to stay in your community for decades in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a good time to maybe do some things that we didn't have time to do before, like go out and actually engage with people, you know, see
Mm-hmm.
who's out there and see who's following. And if people do feel loyal to your brand and they love your local business, just getting a little hello or a little like hang in there from a local business, a personal message, something like that can go a long way.
I absolutely agree. So, if you could give local businesses one piece of advice right now, whether we are still going through this time when they are listening to this, or whether, you know, we're completely out of the woods, what would you tell them that you feel like could put their business on the track to, you know, long-term success?
Well, you mentioned this new book that I wrote called Marketing Rebellion, and the subtitle of the book is The Most Human Company Wins. And I think this is really a message that is for business at any time, and especially right now, that
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe with every fiber in my body that at the end of the day, the most human company wins. If you're building that human emotional connection with your customers, in a consistent way, in a meaningful way, then that is how you're going to win. And it's not like fake human. It's not like stock photos and, just, uh, legally approved copy. It's like really connecting with people and really, showing, like, I talked about vulnerability and compassion. That's what being a human is all about. And small businesses can do that better than, big businesses any day of the week. And if you're the most human company in your niche, whatever it is, you're going to win. So look for opportunities now to show your face, show your smile, show your heart, show your passion, peel back the curtains about, what you do and what you're about, show the hands that made it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best thing that you can be doing right now and in the future.
I appreciate it so much. And I know that so many people that are listening are really going to get a ton of value from what you just said, because that's not something that's talked about a whole lot or nearly enough. So there you have it, guys. If you really want to establish this longevity in your community, be real, be vulnerable, put yourself out there. And exactly like we talked about, maybe this is a time to do those things that you haven't had time to do. And I can promise you that you're definitely going to have a larger support system when this is all over with, if you continue to do those things. So thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate it. This has been amazing. And I'm just really glad you were able to share your immense knowledge with our listeners and our viewers today. So thanks again.
Thanks for having me, Allie.